There is a power within you, a force so vast and limitless that it bends reality to the will of your assumption. You are not here to hope, to wish, to wait for circumstances to align in your favor. You are here to declare, to assume, to live as though the victory is already yours. You do not become a winner by questioning if you will win. You win by knowing that you have already won. The moment you accept this as truth, the world must conform. It does not matter what others say. It does not matter how impossible it seems. The only thing that matters is your inner conviction. If you claim something as yours and persist in that claim without doubt, then nothing can stop it from materializing. Every obstacle is an illusion. Every delay is an illusion. The only reality is the assumption that you hold unwaveringly. You do not react to appearances. You do not beg circumstances to change. You assume the state of the one who has already won. There is no middle ground. You must abandon every thought, every word, every action that contradicts your victory. The one who seeks guarantees will forever remain a seeker. But the one who assumes, who acts as if, who dwells in the end with unwavering certainty, that is the one who compels the world to reshape itself around his assumption. The world is not happening to you. It is responding to you. It is taking the shape of the reality you persistently claim as true. Do not ask if it will happen. Do not wonder how. Simply occupy the state of the one who has already achieved it. Feel it, live it, breathe it, and let the world rearrange itself to match the unshakable truth of your assumption. Your world is not shaped by chance, nor by external forces beyond your control. It is shaped entirely by what you assume to be true. Assumption is not mere wishful thinking. It is the creative force that governs reality. Every event, every encounter, every detail of your life is the direct result of what you have accepted and persisted in as true. You do not attract what you want, you attract what you are conscious of being. The outer world is nothing more than a mirror reflecting your internal state. If you desire change, it is not found by manipulating the external, but by transforming your assumptions. Most people live as passive participants in their own lives, reacting to what appears before them. They see circumstances as fixed, as separate from their own consciousness. They wait for signs, for proof, for permission from the world to believe in their own success. But the truth is, the world is waiting for them. It is waiting for the moment they decide, with absolute certainty, that they are victorious. The moment you assume something as fact, without needing validation from the senses, the world must begin to shift in response. This is not speculation or theory, it is law. You do not need to concern yourself with how things will unfold. The mind that seeks proof before belief is a mind that remains trapped in doubt. The assumption of the wish fulfilled is the only work required. Once you have truly accepted it as your reality, the world will move in ways beyond your comprehension to make it so. Paths will open where none seem to exist. People will appear at the right time. Circumstances will bend, and what once seemed impossible will become inevitable. But none of this happens until you assume it to be true. Now, to assume is to occupy. It is not to wish, not to hope, but to dwell fully in the state of the desired outcome. When you assume victory, you must feel it so deeply that it becomes indistinguishable from reality itself. You must move through your day as if everything is already in place, as if the result is already secured. This is not pretending, nor is it deception. It is living in alignment with the unseen reality that is waiting to be made visible. The moment you take possession of it within, the outer world begins its process of rearrangement. Many will claim they have assumed something, yet their thoughts and actions betray them. To assume is not to momentarily entertain an idea and then return to doubt. It is to persist unwaveringly, even in the face of contradicting appearances. If you assume yourself to be wealthy, yet worry about money, you have not truly assumed wealth, yet continue to question whether success is possible. You have not occupied the state of success. Assumption does not allow for hesitation, for indecision, for fear. It demands full commitment. The one who fully assumes does not look for signs because they already know. They do not react to setbacks because they understand setbacks are illusions. They do not seek reassurance because they have no need for it. Everything in this world, from the smallest detail to the greatest achievement, is a manifestation of assumption. The house you live in, the relationships you experience, the opportunities that come your way, all of it has its origin in your internal state. The person who assumes himself to be unworthy, even unconsciously, will find the world confirming his belief at every turn. Doors will close, people will reject him, and opportunities will seem out of reach, not because he is truly unworthy, but because he assumes himself to be. And yet, the moment he assumes his worthiness, fully, completely, the world will shift. Where once there were obstacles, now there will be open doors. Where once there was rejection, now there will be acceptance. The speed of this transformation depends on the depth of the assumption. The stronger your conviction, the faster the world must move in response. If you assume something weakly, half-heartedly, while still clinging to old beliefs, the manifestation will be slow or inconsistent. But if you assume with absolute certainty, if you surrender fully to the new state and refuse to entertain the old, then the shift will be rapid and undeniable. The world has no choice but to obey. Doubt is the only enemy. Every time you question whether something will happen, you delay its arrival. Every time you look at circumstances for proof, you reinforce the illusion of lack. The one who masters assumption does not waver. They do not allow external appearances to dictate their belief. Instead, they dictate their belief, and the world conforms. If you wish to transform your life, you must first transform your assumptions. It is not enough to say you believe, you must embody it. You must feel it as real, not in some distant future, but now. You must speak, think, and act as the person who has already received their desire. Do not concern yourself with how, when, or through what means. That is not your responsibility. Your only task is to assume the state fully, with unwavering faith, and persist in it no matter what. There is no situation too difficult, no obstacle too great that it cannot be overturned by assumption. No matter where you stand today, no matter what you have experienced in the past, the moment you shift your assumption, the world must respond. It may seem as though the external world is solid, unchangeable, resistant to your desires. But this is an illusion. The moment you take your attention away from the current appearance and dwell entirely in the new assumption, the old reality begins to dissolve. Those who have mastered this principle live without fear. They do not rely on luck, nor on the opinions of others, nor on external validation. They know that assumption is the only power. They walk with the confidence of one who already possesses all that they desire. And because they do, the world must make it so. This is not about wishful thinking. It is not about mere positive affirmations. It is about an unshakable knowing that what you assume must be. It is about standing firm in that assumption until the world bends to match it. You are not separate from your desires, they are already yours. The only work is to claim them, to assume them, and to persist in that assumption until what was once unseen becomes visible. Do not wait for proof. Do not wait for circumstances to tell you it is time to believe. Do not wait for someone to confirm that your desires are possible. The world does not work that way. If you wish to receive something, you must first become it. You must take on the identity of the person who already has what they seek. This is the secret, the key, the law that governs all creation. Living in the end does not mean wishing, hoping, or trying to convince yourself that one day your desire will come. It means knowing that it is already done. It means accepting right now that what you seek is already yours. It is a shift in consciousness, a decision to occupy the reality of your fulfilled desire rather than the reality of its absence. The moment you do this, the world around you begins to move in response. People, events, and circumstances will appear as if by magic, aligning themselves to the state you have claimed as your own. Most people look at the world and see it as something solid, something separate from themselves. They believe that change must come from outside, that something must happen first before they can feel differently, but this is the great illusion. The world is not separate from you. It is a reflection of you. Your reality does not change first. Your state of being changes first, and then reality follows. The person who understands this no longer waits. They no longer look for signs. They simply assume the feeling of the wish fulfilled, and they persist in that state until the world conforms. This is not a passive process. It is not enough to say the words or repeat affirmations without true conviction. Living in the end requires full embodiment. If you desire success, you must walk, talk, and think as someone who is already successful. You must eliminate every thought, every action, every habit that contradicts this state. You must refuse to entertain the possibility of failure. You must see yourself as already having achieved your goal, and you must persist in that feeling regardless of what the external world appears to be showing you. There is no room for doubt in this process. The one who questions, who wavers, who wonders if their desire will come is still living in the state of lack. True assumption leaves no space for uncertainty. It does not hope, it knows. And because it knows, it becomes. The person who truly embodies their desired state will find that the world moves effortlessly to reflect it. They do not struggle, they do not chase, they do not plead with reality to change. They simply exist in the state of having. And the world must rearrange itself to match. The world is malleable. It bends to your assumption, but only if that assumption is firm. Many fail because they assume for a moment, then return to doubt, then assume again, then look for signs, then question whether it is working. This inconsistency keeps them trapped in the cycle of waiting. But the one who assumes completely, who does not need validation, who holds their vision with absolute certainty, that person will see them quickly. There is no limit to what you can create with this understanding. The only limitation is the one you place on yourself. If you can fully accept the reality of your desire as already existing, then nothing can stop it from manifesting. It does not matter how big or small it seems. The process is the same. Assume the state, dwell in it, refuse to waver, and let the world conform. This is how all things come to be. Every great achievement, every success, every moment of transformation begins first in the unseen. It begins in the mind, in the imagination, in the unwavering conviction that it is already done. The external world is merely a reflection of this internal state. The moment you decide to live in the end, to take on the identity of the one who has already received, the external must shift. There is no need to force anything. You do not need to push, struggle, or manipulate the world to make it happen. The state itself is the cause. The outer world is the effect. If you remain faithful to the assumption, if you truly occupy the state of the fulfilled desire, then the bridge of events leading to its manifestation will unfold naturally. Patience is not about waiting, it is about trusting. The moment you assume something is true, it is done. The timing of its appearance in the physical world is irrelevant because you already know it exists. Those who master this understanding no longer stress over when or how something will happen. They live in the knowing that it is already theirs. And because of that, it comes effortlessly. Nothing can resist the power of a fully embodied assumption. It overrides circumstances, defies logic, and bends reality to match the state you have claimed. When you stop waiting for permission, when you stop looking at the world for signs, and instead move through life as if your desire is already fulfilled, you will see miracles unfold before you. This is the way creation works. It is not about effort, but about alignment. It is not about trying to make things happen, but about knowing they have already happened. The moment you adopt the state of the fulfilled desire as your dominant reality, everything else falls into place. There is no power greater than a mind that refuses to accept defeat. When you commit to an idea so completely that you cannot see any other possibility, the world has no choice but to conform. The illusion of failure only exists when you give it attention, when you persist in the assumption that you have already won. Nothing in the external world can shake your belief. The only thing that matters is your state of consciousness, for consciousness is the only true reality. The world operates by reflection, mirroring back to you the state you most consistently embody. If you see yourself as a winner, if you live as if your victory is inevitable, every force in existence moves to confirm that assumption. There may be moments where things appear to go in the opposite direction, but these are not obstacles. They are simply remnants of past beliefs dissolving. The person who understands this never wavers, never doubts, never allows the illusion of delay to shake them. They know that persistence in a chosen state is the secret to bending reality. Most people live by appearances. They react to what they see and allow circumstances to dictate their beliefs. This is why they remain stuck, constantly swayed by external events. But the one who wins at all costs does not react, they act. They decide what is true and then refuse to entertain any contradiction. They do not ask if success is possible, they know it is. They do not wonder if they are capable, they assume they already are. This level of conviction creates an unshakable foundation upon which all things are built. The idea that external forces determine your outcome is an illusion. The only force at play is your inner state. If you fully accept that you have already succeeded, if you move through the world as one who has already won, then the world must rearrange itself accordingly. This is not wishful thinking, it is the law. Everything you experience is a result of what you assume to be true about yourself and the world. Change your assumption and you change your reality. The greatest mistake people make is looking for signs before they believe. They wait for proof, for some indication that things are working in their favor before they commit fully. But this is backward. The proof comes after the assumption, never before. When you persist in a state of absolute certainty, the outer world has no choice but to reflect it back to you. But if you waver, if you allow doubt to creep in, you delay the process. The only thing required is a firm decision to occupy the state of success and remain there, no matter what appears before you. This is not about effort in the conventional sense. It is not about forcing things to happen or struggling against circumstances. It is about alignment. When you align yourself mentally and emotionally with the state of already having won, everything else follows effortlessly. The right people, opportunities, and circumstances will seem to appear out of nowhere. This is not coincidence. It is a natural unfolding of your inner state into the outer world. Many fail because they give up too soon. They assume the feeling of success for a moment, but when reality does not immediately confirm it, they revert to doubt. They look at their current situation and allow it to dictate their belief. But the person who wins at all costs does not operate this way. They remain steadfast, holding on to their assumption even when everything seems to contradict it. They understand that persistence is the bridge between assumption and manifestation. The external world is nothing more than a delayed reflection of past assumptions. If you do not like what you see, change what you assume to be true. The key is to refuse to be fooled by appearances. What you see now is only the result of past thinking. It has no power to dictate your future unless you allow it. The moment you fully embrace the reality of your success, the world begins to shift to accommodate it. Every great achievement in history was first an assumption in someone's mind. Those who changed the world did not wait for permission. They did not look to circumstances for confirmation. They assumed their success and persisted in that assumption until it became reality. They did not ask whether it was possible. They decided that it was, and refused to entertain any other outcome. This level of certainty is rare because most people are ruled by doubt. They let setbacks discourage them, let delays convince them that their desires are unattainable. But the one who truly understands this law knows that setbacks are irrelevant, that delays are only illusions. They know that as long as they persist in the state of already having won, the outer world must conform. The mind is the only battlefield that matters. If you conquer doubt, if you refuse to accept anything other than your chosen reality, you are unstoppable. Nothing outside of you has power over you unless you grant it power. The moment you take control of your inner world, you take control of everything. You must train yourself to ignore anything that contradicts your assumption. If you desire wealth, do not acknowledge lack. If you desire health, do not acknowledge illness. If you desire success, do not acknowledge failure. This does not mean denying reality. It means refusing to accept a version of reality that does not serve you. You are always choosing what to accept as true, and that choice determines what you experience. The key to absolute victory is absolute conviction. You must move through the world as if your success is inevitable. You must see yourself as already possessing everything you desire. You must refuse to react to circumstances that suggest otherwise. When you do this, the world will bend to your will. Do not entertain thoughts of failure. Do not allow yourself to waver. Do not look for evidence before you believe. Assume victory now, persist in that assumption, and reality will mold itself to match. This is the only way to win at all costs. You are not separate from your desire. What you want is not outside of you waiting for some distant day to arrive. It already exists right now in the unseen. The only thing that determines whether you experience it is your ability to embody it fully. You must move through the world as if you already possess it, as if the outcome has already been decided in your favor. This is not a matter of hope or wishful thinking. It is an absolute knowing, a refusal to accept anything less than the fulfillment of your vision. Most people live as though they are chasing something. They believe their desire is something to be attained in the future, something that will come if they work hard enough, if they struggle long enough, if they prove themselves worthy. But this mindset only reinforces the idea that what they want is separate from them, and so it remains out of reach. The secret is to collapse the distance between yourself and your desire, to no longer see it as something apart from you, but as something that already belongs to you. The world moves in response to the state you occupy. If you feel like someone who is lacking, the world will confirm that lack. If you feel like someone who is waiting, the world will keep you waiting. But if you assume the state of already having, of already being, the world will reflect that truth. The circumstances of your life are not random. They are the direct result of your most deeply held assumption. Change your assumption and you change everything. Many struggle with this because they believe they must first see results before they can believe. They wait for something external to prove that their desire is coming, but reality does not work that way. The proof comes only after the assumption, when you believe first without evidence, without science. Then the evidence appears. This is the law in action. Every manifestation, every transformation follows this simple principle. Assume it is already done and it must be. The challenge is not in making your desire real. It is already real. The challenge is in training your mind to accept it as true, to let go of doubt, to stop questioning, to stop looking for confirmation. This requires discipline. The old self, conditioned by years of thinking in terms of effort and struggle, will resist. It will want to check the external world for signs. It will want to fall back into habits of worry and impatience. But you must not waver. You must remain in the state of fulfillment no matter what appears before you. This is not about forcing anything to happen. It is not about trying to manipulate circumstances. It is about alignment. When you become the person who already has what you desire, reality reshapes itself to reflect that identity. The right people, the right opportunities, the right circumstances will be drawn to you not because you are chasing them, but because they are the natural expression of the state you embody. The mind is the only barrier. If you struggle, it is only because you have not fully accepted your new state as truth. You are still entertaining the possibility of failure. You are still questioning whether it will happen, instead of knowing that it already has. The moment you drop all resistance, the moment you stop thinking in terms of time and process, the moment you simply accept that your desire is already yours, the world responds instantly. This is the art of creation. It is not about waiting. It is about choosing. choosing to believe before there is evidence, choosing to assume before there is proof, choosing to embody the reality you desire fully and completely until the external world has no choice but to reflect it back to you. This is the power of the unseen, the power of assumption, the power of knowing. Nothing is more powerful than a mind that has already decided. Once you claim your desire is already fulfilled, once you step into that reality with complete certainty, nothing can stop it from manifesting. The world may seem to resist at first, but this is only the remnants of past assumptions dissolving. If you persist, if you refuse to react to appearances, if you continue to live in the knowing that it is already done, then it must be. This is the law, and the law does not fail. Every great achievement follows this process. Those who succeed are not the ones who work the hardest or struggle the most. They are the ones who believe in their success so completely that they never question it. They act, think, and feel as if they have already won, and because they do, the world confirms it. This is the difference between those who achieve their desires and those who do not. It is never about external circumstances. It is always about the state you occupy within. You do not need permission. You do not need validation. You do not need to wait for signs. The only thing required is your decision to assume the feeling of already having. The moment you do, the moment you refuse to entertain any other reality, the moment you live from the end rather than towards it, everything shifts. What once seemed impossible becomes immediate. The world moves in response to your conviction, and nothing can stand in the way of a mind that has already decided. This is the key to creating anything, not by effort, not by struggle, but by assumption. The moment you step into the reality of already having, the world must comply. It has no other choice. The only question is whether you will persist, whether you will refuse to waver, whether you will embody your desire so fully that nothing can convince you otherwise. Those who do this see results that others call miracles. But these are not miracles. They are the natural outcome of a mind that knows beyond all doubt that it has already won. Everything that happens in your life is a reflection of the state you occupy. The external world does not create your inner reality, it only confirms it. If you see yourself as victorious, as someone who always wins, life will conform to that belief. But if you allow yourself to entertain doubt, if you see yourself as someone who struggles, someone who might not succeed, the world will confirm that instead. There is no external power shaping your experience. It all comes from within. The key to winning at all costs is to refuse to accept any version of reality that contradicts your desired outcome. Most people believe that circumstances dictate their success. They look at what is happening around them and decide whether they should feel confident or discouraged. But this is the great misunderstanding. Circumstances are nothing more than the reflection of past assumptions. They have no power on their own. If you react to them, if you allow them to influence your belief, you only reinforce them and keep yourself stuck. The secret is to persist in your assumption regardless of what the outer world seems to show. When you decide that you have already won, when you refuse to entertain any other outcome, the world has no choice but to align with that belief. This is not about wishful thinking or blind faith. This is about knowing that the world moves according to your state of consciousness. If you are unshakable in your conviction, the outer world must rearrange itself to reflect that truth. The greatest mistake people make is allowing time to shake their belief. They assume the state of already having. They hold the feeling of success, but when results do not appear instantly, they begin to doubt. They question whether it is working, whether they are doing it right, whether they are truly capable. This wavering weakens their assumption, and the world mirrors that uncertainty back to them. They do not realize that the delay they perceive is only a test of their persistence. If they remain steadfast, if they refuse to doubt, their assumption would solidify and their reality would shift. Time is an illusion. The only moment that matters is now. If you feel that your desire is in the future, it will always remain in the future. But if you claim it as yours in the present, if you walk as someone who has already received it, then the world must move to match that reality. You must not wait for confirmation. You must not look for signs. You must decide that it is already done and refuse to entertain any thoughts that suggest otherwise. Most people are ruled by what they see. They check their bank account and let it determine how they feel about money. They look at their relationships and let them determine how they feel about love. They look at their circumstances and let them determine how they feel about success. But this is the opposite of how reality works. The feeling must come first, and then the world follows. If you wait for circumstances to confirm your belief, you will remain stuck in a cycle of reaction, never taking control of your own experience. Winning at all costs means refusing to accept anything less than victory. It means remaining so firm in your assumption that even the strongest evidence to the contrary cannot shake you. This is not about being delusional. This is about understanding how reality works. What you assume to be true eventually hardens into fact. The only reason people do not see this is because they do not persist long enough. They waver, they doubt, they allow the world to dictate what they believe, instead of dictating to the world what is true for them. The key to unwavering belief is living as though your success is inevitable, not just thinking it, not just hoping for it, but acting, speaking, and feeling as though it is already done. This does not mean forcing things to happen. It does not mean manipulating circumstances. It means fully embodying the state of having already received. When you do this, you create a shift in consciousness, and that shift must be reflected in the external world. Imagine a person who has already won. How do they move through life? Do they doubt themselves? Do they question whether success is coming? Do they look around for proof before they believe? No. They carry themselves with certainty. They know that everything is working in their favor. They do not waver because they have already decided. This is the mindset you must adopt. You must become that person now, not later. Not when things start looking better, not when circumstances improve, but now. Because the moment you embody that state, the world moves to reflect it. Some people will call this arrogance. They will say that you must be realistic, that you must acknowledge facts. But what they do not understand is that facts are fluid. What is true today is only a reflection of past assumptions. Change your assumption and you change the facts. The ones who achieve the impossible are the ones who refuse to accept the limitations that others impose. They do not see obstacles, they see stepping stones. They do not see failure, they see temporary appearances that have no power over them. There is a power in you that is greater than any external force. This power does not operate by struggle or effort. It operates by assumption. It does not require proof. It creates proof. But it will only work for you if you trust it completely. If you doubt, if you hesitate, if you allow the world to dictate what you believe, then you will remain trapped in the cycle of reaction. But the moment you decide, the moment you claim your desire as already done, the moment you refuse to accept any other reality, everything shifts. Nothing in the external world has power over you unless you give it power. No setback, no failure, no delay can stop you unless you accept it as real. You must train yourself to ignore appearances that contradict your desire. If you desire wealth, do not acknowledge lack. If you desire success, do not acknowledge struggle. If you desire love, do not acknowledge loneliness. This does not mean denying reality. It means choosing which version of reality to accept. You are always making that choice, whether you realize it or not. The secret to winning at all costs is to decide that you have already won and to never waver from that decision. No matter what appears, no matter how things seem, you remain firm in your assumption. You do not need to convince anyone else. You do not need to explain yourself. You simply embody the state of already having, and the world follows. This is the only way to guarantee success. This is the only way to create the reality you desire. And the moment you commit to this fully, without doubt, without hesitation, you will see that the world bends in your favor. There is a secret power in the way you carry yourself, a force that shapes your world without a word. When you walk through life as if nothing bothers you, you are not ignoring reality. You are defining it. You are telling the universe who you are, what you accept, and what has no power over you. Everything in life responds to the state you occupy. If you assume the state of being unshaken, unmoved, and utterly convinced of your inner authority, the world must mirror it. It has no choice. You do not react to appearances because appearances are fleeting. They are mere shadows of past assumptions. The moment you change your assumption, reality rearranges itself in ways unseen, working behind the curtain of time to bring forth the evidence. When you act as if nothing bothers you, you are not suppressing emotions, you are choosing which emotions have a right to shape your world. The one who remains undisturbed holds the greatest power. The one who refuses to acknowledge the tyranny of the outer world is the one who dictates its direction. People, circumstances, even time itself bow to the mind that moves with certainty. The world will attempt to provoke you, to test the foundation upon which you stand. If you waver, it is only revealing what remains to be mastered within. Nothing outside you can shake you unless you grant it permission. To act as if nothing bothers you is not arrogance, it is mastery. It is the art of knowing that you are the operant power, that every event bends in accordance with your inner movement. Hold to the vision of who you choose to be, and let no temporary disturbance alter it. Walk as though you have already arrived, and the world will be compelled to align. Those who do not understand will call it indifference, but those who see beyond the veil will recognize it for what it is: creation in motion. The way you carry yourself is not just an expression of who you are, it is a command issued to the universe. Everything in your external world bends and molds itself in response to the state you occupy. You may believe that circumstances dictate your emotions, that situations determine how you feel, but the truth is the opposite. It is your state of being that dictates what appears before you. When you assume a state, you set the course for how reality unfolds. Most people live reactively, allowing the outer world to dictate their inner world. They wake up in the morning and check their environment. If things are going well, they feel good. If things seem difficult, they feel low. They let the world tell them who they are instead of realizing that it is they who tell the world what it must be. When you shift your understanding, when you decide that your inner state is the cause rather than the effect, you begin to see the world change in response to you rather than the other way around. Your state of being is not just a passing emotion or a fleeting mood. It is a deep inner conviction, a feeling of certainty about who you are and what is true for you. This conviction is the blueprint upon which your life is built. If you walk through life as though you are unbothered, untouchable by the fleeting troubles of the world, then the world will reflect that state back to you. The moment you take on the attitude that nothing can disturb your peace, circumstances rearrange themselves in ways that align with that assumption. Everything in your experience is responding to your dominant state. The conversations you have, the opportunities that arise, even the way people treat you. All of it is a reflection of the internal stance you have assumed. If you hold the belief that life is hard, that people are against you, that struggle is inevitable, then your world will continuously prove you right. But if you assume the state of ease, confidence, and unwavering peace, then no matter what appears before you, it will eventually conform to that inner reality. This is not about pretending or forcing yourself to suppress emotions. It is about knowing beyond any doubt that you are the one who holds the power. When you carry yourself with the certainty that nothing outside of you can shake you, you become like a rock in the middle of a rushing river. While the currents move around you, you remain unmoved. The world may throw challenges your way, but they will not find a foothold within you unless you grant them permission. Consider the people you admire, the ones who seem to navigate life effortlessly. They do not allow circumstances to dictate their behavior or emotions. They move as though everything is already in their favor, and so it is. They do not question whether they are worthy of success, love, or peace. They simply assume it as natural, and the world responds accordingly. The reason most people do not experience this power is that they allow themselves to be swayed by appearances. They look at what is happening now and react to it, reinforcing the same cycle. But those who understand the nature of creation know that the present moment is only an echo of past assumptions. To change what appears before you, you must first change the state you dwell in. Imagine two people walking into the same situation. One carries themselves with an air of calm confidence, the other with uncertainty and doubt. The situation is identical, yet each will experience it differently. The one who assumes certainty will naturally attract respect, opportunities, and ease, while the one who assumes doubt will find obstacles, resistance, and difficulty. The world is not random. It is a precise mirror of the internal states we occupy. When you choose to walk through life as if nothing bothers you, you are not being careless or detached. You are declaring to the universe that you are the one in control. You are stating that no external force has power over your peace, that your internal reality is sovereign. In doing so, you create a life where challenges dissolve before they even have a chance to take root. Some may argue that this is unrealistic, that life is full of unavoidable struggles and hardships. But the truth is, those struggles only persist because they are expected. When you shift your expectation, when you move with an unshakable inner knowing that all is well, the world has no choice but to reflect that knowing back to you. You do not have to wait for circumstances to improve before you embody this state. The moment you assume it, reality begins to shift, even if you cannot see it immediately. Just as a seed takes time to break through the soil, your new state must be given space to take form. But it is inevitable. What you feel internally will always find expression externally. Walk as though nothing disturbs you, and you will find that life begins to respond to you in ways you never imagined. Situations that once seemed overwhelming will lose their power over you. People who once triggered emotional reactions will no longer have any effect. The chaos of the world will swirl around you, but you will remain untouched, anchored in the unshakable certainty that your inner state is the only reality. This is the greatest power you can hold, the ability to remain steady in the face of any appearance, the ability to declare through your actions, your energy, and your very presence that you are in command of your world. And as you continue to walk in this state, you will see time and time again that reality bends to meet the unwavering certainty of the one who knows who they truly are. What you see in the world today is not the ultimate truth. It is merely a reflection of your past assumptions. Every experience, every event, and every interaction is the result of a belief you once held, whether consciously or unconsciously. The outer world is never the cause, it is always the effect. And if you can grasp this truth, you will realize that you are never at the mercy of circumstances. Instead, you are the creator of them. People often think that their reality is fixed, that what they see is undeniable evidence of how things are. They look at their financial situation, their relationships, their health, and believe that these conditions define them. They say, "This is how life is," and react accordingly. But they fail to see that these conditions are not permanent. They are not independent forces shaping their lives. They are simply the visible expressions of their internal states, formed through repeated thoughts and beliefs. If you understand that the external world is nothing more than a projection of your inner world, then you will also understand that you have the power to change it at any moment. The key is to stop reacting to appearances and instead shift your assumption. When you look at your current circumstances and feel discouraged, you reinforce them and give them more power. But when you refuse to be disturbed by what you see, When you act as though a new reality is already true, you begin the process of transformation. Most people remain stuck in unwanted conditions because they keep observing them, reacting to them, and confirming them as reality. They may desire change, but their constant attention to what is keeps them locked in a cycle of repetition. The moment you shift your assumption, the world begins to rearrange itself. It may not be immediate, but it is inevitable. Think of your assumptions as seeds. Whatever you assume to be true, you plant within your subconscious mind. Over time, these assumptions grow into experiences, shaping the events and circumstances of your life. If you plant seeds of doubt, fear, and limitation, your world will reflect those states. But if you plant seeds of confidence, abundance, and ease, your world must bring forth conditions that match them. People often say, "I will believe it when I see it," but the truth is you will see it when you believe it. The outer world cannot produce anything that does not first exist within you. If you want to experience love, you must assume you are already loved. If you want to experience success, you must assume that success is already yours. The moment you accept something as true in your inner world, it begins to take form in the outer world. Consider the times in your life when things seem to shift effortlessly. Perhaps you unexpectedly received money, or an opportunity appeared just when you needed it most. If you look back, you will often realize that before these things happened, you had already assumed, even if only briefly, that they were possible. You had a moment of certainty, a feeling that things would work out, and reality responded accordingly. The challenge for most people is that they allow their assumptions to waver. They assume something is possible one moment, but then look at their current circumstances and doubt it the next. They oscillate between belief and disbelief, and as a result, their world remains stagnant. But those who hold firm in their assumption, those who refuse to be swayed by appearances, are the ones who see their desires manifest with certainty. The world will always test your resolve. The moment you assume a new reality, your old assumptions will attempt to reassert themselves. You may see temporary evidence that contradicts your new state, and if you react to it, you reinforce the old. But if you remain steadfast, knowing that what you assume must become real, then all opposing conditions will eventually fade away. You must become unwavering in your conviction. When you declare something to be true for yourself, let nothing shake that truth. Let the world present whatever illusions it may. Remain firm in your inner knowing. You do not need to fight against appearances. You do not need to struggle to change them. Simply withdraw your attention from them and place it on the reality you wish to create. This is not about pretending or forcing yourself to believe something you do not feel. It is about recognizing that your assumption is the only thing that holds power. The moment you embody a new belief, reality has no choice but to conform. The only reason something persists in your life is because you continue to believe in it. The moment you stop giving it energy, it begins to dissolve. There is no limit to what you can assume. The world is an infinite reflection, always mirroring back to you the state you hold within. If you assume that life is difficult, that people are untrustworthy, that success is reserved for others, then you will see endless proof of these beliefs. But if you assume that life is unfolding in your favor, that every experience is leading you to something greater, that you are already the person you wish to be, then the world will align to confirm it. The power is always in your hands. You do not need to ask permission from anyone. You do not need to wait for external validation. The moment you assume something to be true, reality begins to shift. The only question is, will you persist in your assumption, or will you let appearances convince you otherwise? Those who master this principle walk through life with an effortless grace. They are not disturbed by temporary setbacks because they know these are just remnants of old assumptions dissolving. They do not seek approval or reassurance because they understand that the only validation they need comes from within. They move as though their desires are already fulfilled, and in doing so, they bring them into existence. The next time you find yourself reacting to the world around you, pause. Remind yourself that what you see is only a reflection of past beliefs. If you do not like what is appearing, do not fight it. Simply assume something new. Live in the state of your desired reality and watch as the world bends to accommodate. Nothing is set in stone. No condition is beyond change. Everything you see is simply the shadow of an old assumption, waiting for you to replace it with something greater. And the moment you do, the world will respond in kind. The way you respond to the world determines how the world responds to you. Every moment you are given a choice to react to what is or to assume control over your state of being. Most people move through life in a state of constant reaction. They let circumstances dictate their emotions, allowing the external world to pull them in different directions. When something favorable happens, they feel good. When something unwanted appears, they feel bad. This is the cycle of reactivity, and it keeps them bound to the very conditions they wish to escape. But there is another way, a way of being that transcends the constant push and pull of external events. It is the way of deliberate creation, where you refuse to be controlled by appearances. When you understand that reality is a reflection of your inner world, you stop allowing temporary conditions to dictate your emotional state. You recognize that what you see today is simply an echo of past assumptions, and that if you want a new reality, you must first embody it within. When you refuse to react, you break the cycle of repetition. Most people experience the same struggles, the same disappointments, and the same conflicts because they continue to react to them. They feel anger, frustration, or sadness, and in doing so, they reinforce the very conditions they wish to escape. But when you detach from these reactions, when you move through life with an unshakable calm, you create space for something new to emerge. Consider a person who is constantly mistreated by others. They believe that people are unkind, that they are always being disrespected, and they react with anger and frustration every time it happens. But their reaction only serves to confirm their assumption, ensuring that they experience more of the same. If instead they stopped reacting, if they assumed a new state, one where they are always treated with respect and kindness, their world would begin to shift to match this new belief. The mistreatment would fade, not because they fought against it, but because they no longer gave it power. Reality conforms to your state of being. If you embody the state of peace, confidence, and assurance, then the world must reflect that back to you. When you carry yourself as though nothing bothers you, you send a signal to the universe that you are in control. The world does not test those who are unwavering. It only challenges those who are uncertain, those who waver between belief and doubt. The greatest power lies in your ability to remain still when the world expects you to react. When someone insults you, the expected response is anger. When things do not go as planned, the expected response is frustration. But when you refuse to engage in these automatic reactions, you disrupt the pattern. You show yourself and the world that you are not bound by circumstances. You are the creator of them. There is no need to defend yourself, to prove your worth, or to fight against what appears. The moment you step into a state of knowing, all resistance fades. Those who react are trapped in a cycle of cause and effect, but those who remain unmoved become the cause itself. They dictate reality rather than allowing reality to dictate them. When you react, you affirm what is. When you remain still, you create what will be. If you wish to experience love, abundance, and success, then you must refuse to entertain anything that contradicts these states. You must hold firm in your assumption, knowing that what you believe internally must be reflected externally. Imagine walking into a room where everyone is anxious and uncertain. The energy in the room is chaotic, unsettled. But if you enter with absolute confidence, with a presence so strong that nothing can shake you, the entire atmosphere shifts. People respond to your energy, whether they realize it or not. They begin to mirror your calm, your certainty. This is the power of being unmoved. The external world must conform to the dominant presence. The same principle applies to every area of life. If you carry yourself as though you are already successful, opportunities will appear. If you move through life as though you are deeply loved, relationships will align with that truth. If you refuse to react to negativity, it will dissolve from your experience. The world does not create your state creates the world you see. Some may say that this is difficult, that emotions are automatic, that reactions are inevitable. But that is only because they have lived their entire lives in a state of reactivity. They have not yet realized that they can choose. They can decide in any moment to be unaffected. They can decide that no external event will have power over them. And the moment they make that decision, everything begins to change. Think of the people who command the greatest respect. They are not those who react emotionally to every challenge. They are those who remain composed no matter what arises. They do not need to assert their power. Their presence alone is enough. They have mastered themselves, and because of this, the world bends to their will. When you choose to stop reacting, you become untouchable. No insult can hurt you, no setback can shake you, no external event can dictate your emotions. You rise above circumstances, and in doing so, you reshape them. At first, this may seem unnatural. You may feel the pull of old habits, the urge to react as you always have. But if you persist, if you choose, moment by moment, to remain still in the face of appearances, you will witness a transformation. Life will become effortless. What once seemed difficult will resolve itself without struggle. What once triggered you will lose its power. The world expects you to react. When you refuse, you reclaim your sovereignty. You no longer live at the mercy of circumstances. You dictate them. You decide who you are, and the world simply follows. Nothing outside of you holds power over you. No event, no person, no condition can disturb your peace unless you allow it. The moment you choose stillness over reaction, you step into your true power, and from that place, anything is possible. Most people believe they must fight against circumstances, that they must wrestle with the external world in order to create change. But the truth is, effort is not the key. Assumption is. If you assume that something must be difficult, it will be. If you assume that you must react to everything that happens, you will forever be trapped in a cycle of reaction. But the moment you assume that nothing disturbs you, that nothing outside of you has the power to affect your inner state, everything changes. You must live in the end in the state of already being the person who is unmoved by appearances. The mistake most people make is that they wait for circumstances to change before they feel differently. They think, once things calm down, I will be at peace. Once people treat me better, I will feel respected. But this approach keeps them bound to the very conditions they wish to escape. They are waiting for the mirror to change before they change their reflection. But the mirror does not work that way. It reflects whatever is in front of it. If you want a new reflection, you must first change your state. Imagine standing in front of a mirror with a frown, demanding that the reflection smile before you do. It will never happen. The reflection only changes when you change. The same is true for life. You cannot demand that the world gives you peace while you remain in a state of turmoil. You must assume peace within yourself first, and then the world will reflect that peace back to you. This is why acting as if nothing bothers you is so powerful. It is not about pretending, nor is it about suppressing emotions. It is about shifting your inner state so that nothing truly does bother you. The more you hold firm to this assumption, the more the world must rearrange itself to fit it. Think of the people you admire, the ones who seem to move through life with ease, unaffected by the chaos around them. They are not different from you. They have simply mastered their state of being. They do not wait for circumstances to grant them peace. They claim it within themselves. And because they do, life flows effortlessly for them. Opportunities come, relationships improve, and challenges dissolve without struggle. This is not luck. It is alignment. They have chosen their inner world first, and the outer world has no choice but to comply. It does not matter what others say or do. It does not matter what events unfold. You have the power to determine your response. And the moment you decide that nothing outside of you has control over your inner peace, you become truly free. This freedom is not something you must strive for. It is something you already have. You do not need to acquire peace. You only need to stop giving power to the things that disturb it. Right now, in this moment, you can choose stillness. You can decide that nothing outside of you is worthy of your reaction. And the moment you do, the energy around you shifts. The people who once tried to provoke you will lose interest. The situations that once seemed overwhelming will fade into irrelevance. The world will stop testing you because it only tests those who believe they can be shaken. If you want to transform your life, begin by transforming your response to it. Move through your day as if nothing has the power to disturb you. When someone says something rude, remain still. When plans do not unfold as expected, remain calm. Do not give your energy to fleeting moments. Instead, hold on to the state of peace. The more you practice this, the more effortless it becomes. Soon it is no longer an act. It is simply who you are. There is no need to defend yourself, to explain yourself, or to justify your peace. The world does not need to understand why you remain unbothered. You do not owe anyone an explanation for your stillness. Those who live in a state of reaction will not understand at first. They will try to pull you back into the old patterns to provoke a response. But if you remain firm in your assumption, they will eventually fall away. They will either rise to match your energy or they will exit your life entirely. Your only task is to hold the state. Let the world do what it will. Let people behave as they choose. It is irrelevant. Your state of being is all that matters. If you persist in the assumption that nothing disturbs you, then soon nothing will. Life will become peaceful, not because the world has changed, but because you have. And once you have changed, the world must follow. This is not philosophy, it is law. What you assume to be true within yourself must be made manifest in the world around you. If you assume struggle, struggle appears. If you assume that nothing bothers you, then the circumstances that once disturbed you will lose their grip. This is the power you hold. There is no force outside of you greater than the power within you. You are the creator of your experience, and the moment you claim dominion over your inner state, the world bends to your will. Nothing disturbs the one who knows their own power. Nothing moves the one who stands firm in their assumption. Right now you can begin. You do not need anything external to change first. You do not need permission from anyone. Simply decide in this moment that you are unmoved, that you are unshaken, that nothing disturbs your peace, and as you persist in this state, life will unfold in ways you never imagined possible. Your world is not separate from you. The circumstances you experience are not accidents, nor are they forces acting upon you from the outside. Everything you see, hear, and encounter is a direct reflection of the state you embody. When you react to something, you are confirming its power over you. But when you refuse to react, when you remain still in the face of chaos, you are asserting your authority over reality itself. You are claiming your role as the creator, the one who chooses what is real and what is irrelevant. Most people live in a constant state of reaction. They allow their emotions to be dictated by the events unfolding around them. If things go well, they feel happy. If things go wrong, they feel upset. They are like a ship tossed on the waves, moving in whatever direction the wind blows. But those who understand the true nature of reality do not live this way. They do not wait for external conditions to change before they feel different. They decide how they feel, and then they watch as the world shifts to match their inner state. To master your reality, you must master your reactions. You must learn to observe the world without being pulled into its drama. This does not mean ignoring problems or pretending they do not exist. It means recognizing that your response determines the outcome. The moment you refuse to react, the energy of the situation changes. What once seemed like an obstacle begins to dissolve. What once appeared to have power over you loses its grip. Think about the moments in your life when you reacted strongly to something. Perhaps someone insulted you and you felt the immediate urge to defend yourself. Perhaps a situation did not go as planned and frustration took over. In those moments, you were giving your power away. You were allowing something outside of you to control your inner state. But what if instead you had remained still? What if you had observed the situation without reacting, without attaching any meaning to it? The outcome would have been entirely different. When you remain calm, you send a message to the universe. This does not define me. This does not control me. And in doing so, you free yourself from the cycle of reaction. You step into the role of the observer, the one who watches but does not become entangled. This is where true power lies. It is not in forcing circumstances to change, but in refusing to let them dictate your state of being. Imagine standing in the middle of a storm, watching the wind and rain swirl round you, but remaining completely still. You are untouched, unshaken. The storm may rage, but it does not affect you. This is the mindset you must cultivate. The world can move, people can say what they will, circumstances can shift, but none of it has the power to disturb you unless you give it permission. Most people do not realize that they have been conditioned to react. From an early age, they are taught to respond to external validation, to seek approval, to fear rejection. They believe that their emotions are at the mercy of the world around them. But the truth is, every reaction is a choice. The moment you recognize this, you reclaim your power. You stop living in reaction and you start living in creation. When something happens that would normally trigger a reaction, pause, observe your initial impulse, but do not act on it. Instead, step back and ask yourself, does this deserve my energy? Does this situation define me? More often than not, you will find that the answer is no. What once seemed urgent and overwhelming suddenly appears insignificant. You realize that you do not have to engage with every disturbance, that your peace is worth more than a fleeting emotional reaction. This does not mean suppressing emotions or pretending that challenges do not exist. It means consciously choosing how you respond. It means recognizing that nothing has the power to upset you unless you give it permission. And when you truly embody this understanding, you become untouchable. People may try to provoke you, but they will fail. Circumstances may shift unexpectedly, but you will remain calm. Life will unfold exactly as it should, and you will move through it with grace and ease. Think about those who have mastered this state of being. They do not argue, they do not defend, they do not explain. They simply exist in their power, knowing that their energy shapes the world around them. They do not need to prove themselves, because they already know who they are. And because they refuse to react, they remain in control of their reality. This is available to you in every moment. The next time something challenges you, make a different choice. Instead of reacting, pause. Breathe. Remind yourself that you are the creator, not the victim. Watch as the energy of the situation shifts. Watch as what once seemed overwhelming loses its power. The more you do this, the easier it becomes. Soon it is no longer an effort. It is simply who you are. When you master your reactions, you master your life. Nothing outside of you has the power to disturb your peace. You are no longer at the mercy of circumstances. You are the one shaping them. The world does not control you. You control the world. When you are faced with chaos, fear, or uncertainty, it is easy to feel as if the world is unraveling around you. But what if I told you that the key to navigating this world, to overcoming every challenge, lies not in your reaction to the world, but in your ability to remain calm, centered, and grounded within yourself? Your calmness, that peaceful inner space where you are at one with yourself, is a power that no external force can break. The world may be loud and the circumstances may scream for your attention, but the real strength lies in the ability to stand unmoved, unaffected by the noise. Calmness is not the absence of emotion or action, but the conscious choice to maintain your composure in any given moment. It is the recognition that you are not controlled by external circumstances, but by the power of your own awareness, your own mental state. Think of the calmness within you as a wellspring, a quiet, undisturbed force that has the power to create, to manifest, and to shape your reality. When you act as if your calmness is your strength, you shift your focus from the world's chaos to the world within you. You stop reacting from fear and start responding from a place of inner power. You understand that it is not the storm outside, but your ability to remain centered within that determines the course of your life. There will always be distractions, challenges, and situations that seek to disrupt your peace. But when you act as if your calmness is your strength, you refuse to allow those disturbances to dictate your experience. Instead of allowing yourself to be swept away by the tides of life, you anchor yourself in the present moment, knowing that your inner state is the only true source of power. Your calmness is not passive, it is an active choice. It is a declaration that no matter what happens around you, you remain unwavering, grounded, and at peace. As you embody this truth, you will notice how the world begins to respond to you differently. People will sense your composure and be drawn to your centeredness. Situations that once seemed overwhelming will begin to feel manageable because you are no longer controlled by them. When you know that your calmness is your strength, you stand taller, face challenges with clarity, and move through life with a quiet confidence that comes from deep within. The world may try to pull you in many directions, but you stand in the power of your own peaceful strength, knowing that it is in stillness that true power is found. True strength is often misunderstood in our fast-paced, action-oriented world. We are frequently taught that strength comes from outward displays of power, forceful reactions, or the ability to conquer any obstacle that stands in our path. But there is a deeper, quieter strength that lies within all of us, one that is far more powerful than any external force. This strength is rooted in calmness, the ability to remain peaceful, centered, and composed even in the most turbulent of times. The world we live in often encourages us to react impulsively to the challenges and chaos that surround us. We are bombarded with demands, expectations, and constant stimulation that stir up our emotions and compel us to act without fully understanding the situation. In the midst of all this noise, it becomes easy to forget that we have the power to choose how we respond. We can allow the chaos to dictate our state of mind, or we can decide in each moment to remain calm and centered. When you recognize that calmness is your strength, you begin to realize that you do not need to match the noise of the world with your own emotional outbursts or frantic energy. Instead, you can stand firm in your peace, like an immovable rock in the middle of a storm. Calmness is not about shutting out the world or pretending that everything is perfect. It is about accepting the world as it is, while choosing to maintain your inner peace despite the external conditions. This inner calmness allows you to create a space of clarity where you can see things as they truly are without the distortion of fear, anxiety, or panic. It is in this state of clarity that you are able to think clearly and make decisions that are aligned with your highest good. When you are calm, you are not controlled by external circumstances, but by your own awareness. You are not a victim of what is happening around you. Instead, you are the creator of your response. And this is where your true power lies. There is a profound strength in being able to stand still amidst the whirlwind of life. Think about a situation where everything seems to be falling apart around you. Perhaps you've lost a job, experienced a difficult breakup, or encountered a health challenge. The natural tendency may be to react with fear, anger, or despair. But what if, instead of allowing these emotions to take over, you chose to remain calm and composed? In that moment, you would be choosing to maintain control over your mental and emotional state, rather than allowing the situation to control you. This choice may not always come easily, especially when faced with challenges that feel overwhelming. But the more you practice remaining calm, the more you will realize that your peace is the one thing that cannot be taken away from you. It is a strength that comes from within, and it is always available to you, regardless of external circumstances. The more you choose to tap into this calmness, the more you will discover just how powerful it truly is. When you embrace calmness as your strength, you begin to understand that the world's chaos cannot diminish your power unless you allow it to. This realization gives you the freedom to move through life with confidence, knowing that no matter what happens, you have the ability to remain anchored in your peace. You no longer feel helpless in the face of adversity. Instead, you feel empowered, knowing that your calmness is the key to overcoming any challenge. Moreover, calmness allows you to take more deliberate and conscious action. When you are calm, you can approach problems with a clear mind and a balanced perspective. You are no longer reactive or impulsive. Instead, you can think strategically, weighing your options and making decisions from a place of wisdom and clarity. In this state, you are able to act with purpose and intention, knowing that each step you take is aligned with your higher self. The strength of calmness is also reflected in how it affects the people around you. In a world where so many are struggling with stress, anxiety, and uncertainty, your ability to remain calm can serve as a beacon of hope and reassurance. People are naturally drawn to those who exude ease, and they seek your presence in times of trouble. This calmness becomes contagious, creating a ripple effect that helps to uplift others and create a more peaceful environment. Think about the people you know who seem to exude calmness in every situation. They are the ones who remain composed in the face of conflict, who offer wisdom and perspective when others are losing their heads. There is a magnetic quality to their presence, because they have mastered the art of remaining centered and grounded, no matter what is happening around them. They know that true strength is not about reacting to life with force, but about responding to life with a deep inner peace that cannot be shaken. When you make calmness your strength, you begin to transform not only your own life, but also the lives of those around you. You become a living example of what is possible when you refuse to be controlled by fear, anxiety, or the chaos of the world. You show others that it is possible to remain strong, even in the midst of challenges, and you inspire them to find their own inner calmness. It is important to understand that calmness does not mean complacency or passivity. It is not about ignoring problems or pretending that everything is fine when it is not. Calmness is an active choice to remain centered, no matter what is happening around you. It is about taking the time to pause, breathe, and collect yourself before reacting. In this stillness, you allow the wisdom and clarity that comes from your inner peace to guide you. You do not act out of fear or impulse, but from a place of deliberate thought and intention. Over time, as you practice remaining calm, you will find that the world becomes less overwhelming. You will begin to trust that, no matter what challenges arise, you have the strength within you to navigate them with grace and composure. Your calmness will become a constant source of power that guides you through life, helping you to overcome obstacles and achieve your goals with ease. In conclusion, calmness is not a passive state, but a powerful inner strength that allows you to navigate the challenges of life with clarity, purpose, and grace. It is the ability to remain composed, even in the face of chaos, and to respond to life from a place of inner peace. When you recognize that calmness is your strength, you unlock the true power within you, and you become unstoppable. Calmness is often viewed as something passive, a mere absence of turmoil or noise. But true calmness is far from passive. It is a conscious, deliberate choice. It's an active decision to remain grounded, regardless of the circumstances around you. In a world that seems to reward quick reactions, emotional outbursts, and fast-paced decision-making, the ability to stay calm is a profound strength that can completely transform your experience of life. When you realize that calmness is not just a natural reaction, but a conscious choice, it becomes a tool that empowers you to navigate even the most chaotic situations with grace. The ability to choose calmness begins with self-awareness. Every moment of emotional turbulence, fear, or anxiety presents an opportunity to make a choice. You can either react automatically based on what's happening around you, or you can pause and choose to remain calm. This moment of pause is the key to unlocking your inner strength. When you can catch yourself in moments of tension or distress and consciously choose to shift into a state of calmness, you begin to break free from the automatic, conditioned responses that often lead to regret, misunderstandings, and emotional turmoil. You reclaim control over your mental and emotional state. This act of choosing calmness may seem difficult at first, especially if you're accustomed to reacting impulsively to stress or challenges. But as you practice it, it becomes more natural. It's important to realize that calmness doesn't mean suppressing your emotions or pretending that everything is fine when it's not. Rather, it's about choosing to respond to those emotions in a way that is measured, thoughtful, and constructive. Choosing calmness means taking a step back, recognizing what is happening within you, and allowing yourself the space to process it without rushing to react. In doing so, you create the opportunity to respond with clarity and wisdom, rather than from a place of panic or fear. This choice to remain calm doesn't negate the need to take action or make decisions. In fact, it enhances your ability to act decisively and with purpose. When you are calm, you can see the situation more clearly, free from the distortion of heightened emotions. This clarity allows you to make decisions that are aligned with your true desires and values, rather than reacting from a place of impulsive emotions or external pressures. When you are not controlled by fear or anxiety, you can think more strategically and choose your actions with greater intention. Choosing calmness also requires a level of trust in yourself and in the process of life. You must trust that, even when things are not going as planned, you have the capacity to handle whatever comes your way. You must trust that everything is unfolding in perfect timing, even if it doesn't appear that way in the moment. By choosing calmness, you're essentially saying, I trust that I have everything I need within me to navigate this situation with grace. It's about cultivating faith in your ability to deal with whatever life throws at you, knowing that you are never powerless. This trust is an important part of choosing calmness because it helps you release the need to control everything. Much of the stress and anxiety that we experience in life come from our attempts to control outcomes or anticipate problems before they even arise. When you choose calmness, you relinquish the need to control every situation and instead embrace the flow of life, knowing that you can handle whatever comes, no matter how unexpected. You give yourself permission to simply be in the moment, trusting that you are exactly where you need to be. Another essential aspect of choosing calmness is the recognition that you are not a victim of your circumstances. Life will continue to present challenges, difficult people, and unexpected twists and turns. However, you have the power to choose how you respond to these challenges. The world does not determine your emotional state, you do. This realization is incredibly empowering. When you choose calmness, you step into your power. You are no longer at the mercy of external events or other people's actions. Instead, you choose to be calm, centered, and unaffected by the things that once would have thrown you off balance. The choice to remain calm also helps you become more present. When you are calm, you are more able to engage fully with the present moment, without the distraction of past regrets or future worries. The mind is often pulled in many directions, but when you choose calmness, you bring yourself back to the here and now. This presence allows you to enjoy life more fully, as you're no longer consumed by mental noise or the desire to control what happens next. Instead, you can experience the fullness of life as it is, without the need to constantly do or fix things. Choosing calmness also allows you to develop greater emotional resilience. Life is unpredictable, and it's impossible to avoid challenges entirely. However, when you have the ability to remain calm in the face of adversity, you build emotional resilience. With each challenge you face, you become stronger and more capable of handling future obstacles. Choosing calmness helps you bounce back faster from setbacks, as you are not consumed by negative emotions or prolonged periods of stress. Instead, you move through the challenge with a sense of equanimity, knowing that it too shall pass. There is also a profound connection between the choice to remain calm and the ability to manifest your desires. The calmer you are, the clearer your thoughts become. When you are calm, you are better able to focus your energy on what you truly want, rather than being distracted by fear or worry. The act of choosing calmness allows you to align yourself with your desires, sending out a powerful signal to the universe that you are ready to receive. Your calmness becomes a magnetic force that attracts opportunities, solutions, and people into your life that are aligned with your highest good. In addition, when you choose calmness, you begin to influence the energy around you. Calmness is contagious. People are drawn to those who exude peace and composure. In situations where others are panicking or reacting out of fear, your calmness can serve as a stabilizing force, helping to soothe the collective energy of a room or group. By remaining calm, you inspire others to do the same, creating a more harmonious environment. This active choice to remain calm does not make you immune to difficult emotions or situations, but it does allow you to handle them with a sense of mastery. Choosing calmness is a practice, one that you can strengthen over time. It's about creating a new habit of mind, one where your first response to any challenge is not panic, fear, or impulsive action, but instead a moment of pause, a deep breath, and a calm response. The more you practice this, the more you will find that calmness becomes your natural state. And with that, your life will begin to transform in ways you never imagined possible. The idea that your mental state shapes your reality is a powerful and transformative concept. We often think that our experiences are dictated by external circumstances, our environment, the people we interact with, or the situations we face. While these external factors certainly play a role, it is ultimately our internal state of mind that determines how we perceive and react to the world around us. Our thoughts, beliefs, and emotional state create the lens through which we experience life, and thus, our mental state is the key to unlocking the life we desire. When you realize that your mental state shapes your reality, it becomes clear that you have the power to control your experience of life. If you constantly dwell on negative thoughts, fears, or limiting beliefs, you will attract experiences that reinforce those thoughts. Similarly, if you choose to cultivate a positive, calm, and empowered mindset, you will attract circumstances that reflect that energy. The mind is not just a passive receiver of external information, it is a powerful creative force that shapes your experience and influences the events that unfold in your life. One of the most significant ways that your mental state shapes your reality is through the law of attraction. This law states that like attracts like, and that the energy you project into the world will attract similar energy back to you. When you are in a state of calmness, peace, and confidence, you are projecting a positive energy into the world. This energy then attracts positive experiences, people, and opportunities that match that frequency. In contrast, when you are filled with fear, anxiety, or doubt, you are projecting a different energy, one that attracts situations that reflect those emotions. Your mental state also influences how you interpret the events that occur in your life. Two people can experience the same situation, but their interpretation of that situation will differ greatly depending on their mental state. For example, imagine that you receive a critical comment from someone at work. If you are in a negative state of mind, you may interpret that comment as an attack on your abilities, leading to feelings of insecurity and self-doubt. However, if you are in a calm, centered state, you may interpret the same comment as constructive feedback, a helpful opportunity for growth. The event itself hasn't changed, but your mental state has determined how you experience it. This idea is especially relevant when it comes to facing challenges. Life is filled with obstacles and setbacks, but how you respond to those challenges is entirely dependent on your mental state. If you approach a difficult situation with a mindset of fear and worry, you are likely to feel overwhelmed and powerless. On the other hand, if you approach the same challenge with a mindset of calmness, confidence, and belief in your ability to overcome it, you will feel more empowered and capable. The external circumstances may remain the same, but your mental state will shape how you navigate them. One of the most powerful ways your mental state shapes your reality is by determining your level of resilience. Resilience is the ability to bounce back from adversity, to remain strong in the face of setbacks and challenges. When you are in a positive and calm mental state, you are more resilient because you approach challenges with a sense of inner strength and confidence. You trust that no matter what happens, you will be able to handle it. In contrast, when you are in a negative mental state, you are more likely to crumble under pressure, as fear and doubt cloud your judgment and make it harder to find solutions. Your mental state also affects your relationships with others. The energy you project into the world directly impacts the people you interact with. If you are calm, positive, and confident, you will attract people who resonate with that energy. People will be drawn to your calm presence, and your relationships will tend to be more harmonious and supportive. On the other hand, if you are constantly anxious, fearful, or reactive, you may attract people who mirror those emotions. Your relationships may become strained as the negative energy you project is reflected back to you in the form of conflict or misunderstandings. Another way that your mental state shapes your reality is by influencing your ability to make decisions. Our decisions are often influenced by our emotions, and when we are in a negative mental state, we are more likely to make decisions based on fear, insecurity, or desperation. These decisions often lead to undesirable outcomes. In contrast, when we are in a calm and centered mental state, we are able to make decisions from a place of clarity and wisdom. We are not swayed by temporary emotions or external pressures, but instead we make choices that are aligned with our long-term goals and values. Your mental state also affects your ability to manifest your desires. Manifestation is the process of bringing your desires into reality, and it is deeply tied to your mental and emotional state. If you are constantly focused on lack, fear, or doubt, you are sending out a vibration of scarcity and limitation, which will attract more of the same. However, when you are in a positive mental state, full of belief, faith, and optimism, you are sending out a vibration of abundance and possibility. This positive energy acts as a magnet, attracting the people, opportunities, and resources you need to manifest your desires. Furthermore, your mental state influences your physical health. The mind-body connection is well documented, and studies have shown that a positive mental state can improve physical health, while a negative mental state can contribute to illness and disease. When you are stressed, anxious, or overwhelmed, your body releases stress hormones that can weaken the immune system, disrupt sleep, and contribute to a range of health problems. In contrast, when you are calm, relaxed, and positive, your body is better able to function at its optimal level. Your mind and body are interconnected, and the energy you cultivate in your mental state directly impacts your physical health. As you become more aware of the connection between your mental state and the reality you create, you can begin to make more conscious choices about how you think and feel. You realize that you have the power to change your thoughts, beliefs, and emotions, and by doing so, you change the energy you project into the world. You become more intentional in your thoughts, focusing on what you want to create rather than what you want to avoid. You choose thoughts that empower you, that align with your desires and values, and that contribute to your sense of well-being. By cultivating a positive, calm, and confident mental state, you begin to create a reality that reflects those qualities. Your life becomes a reflection of your inner world, and you attract experiences, people, and opportunities that align with your mindset. Your mental state shapes your reality not just in small ways, but in profound and transformative ways. As you take responsibility for your mental state, you unlock the potential to create a life that is rich with joy, abundance, and fulfillment. When you embrace the power of calmness, you unlock a state of mental clarity that allows you to access your deepest wisdom and insights. In moments of stress, confusion, or uncertainty, our minds are often clouded by a flood of emotions, negative thoughts, and fears. This chaotic mental state can obscure our ability to make clear decisions or see the path forward. However, when we choose calmness, we create the space to think clearly and make decisions from a place of inner knowing rather than reacting from a place of fear or panic. The mind is an incredibly powerful tool, but it is often easily influenced by external circumstances and emotions. When faced with challenges, the natural response is often to react impulsively, driven by anxiety or frustration. These reactions are typically based on past experiences, fears, or unexamined beliefs, which can prevent us from seeing the situation clearly. By choosing calmness, we allow ourselves the time and space to step back and view the situation objectively without the distortion of emotions. This shift in perspective enables us to make decisions that are more thoughtful, balanced, and aligned with our true desires. Calmness is not about suppressing emotions or ignoring the reality of a situation. It is about allowing ourselves to experience our emotions fully while not allowing them to dictate our actions. Emotions are a natural part of the human experience, and they serve as signals that can guide us. However, when emotions take over, they can cloud our judgment and prevent us from thinking clearly. Choosing calmness means acknowledging your emotions but not letting them control your behavior. This allows you to respond to challenges with a sense of composure rather than reacting impulsively or emotionally. One of the most significant benefits of calmness is the ability to gain clarity in the face of confusion. When we are calm, we are able to quiet the noise in our minds and listen to our inner voice. This inner voice, often referred to as intuition or higher wisdom, is always available to us, but it can be difficult to hear when our minds are clouded by fear, stress, or negative thinking. By choosing calmness, we create the conditions for our intuition to rise to the surface. It is in these moments of calmness that we are able to make decisions that feel aligned with our true purpose and desires rather than making choices based on external pressures or emotional reactions. The clarity that comes with calmness also allows us to see opportunities that we might otherwise overlook. In times of stress or confusion, our minds tend to focus on the problems or challenges at hand, making it difficult to see the bigger picture. However, when we are calm, we are able to step back and gain a broader perspective. This broader perspective allows us to recognize new possibilities, explore creative solutions, and take actions that we may not have considered in a more frantic state. Calmness opens the door to innovation and creative problem solving, enabling us to approach challenges with fresh eyes and a renewed sense of possibility. Calmness also enhances our ability to take decisive action. When we are calm, we are not paralyzed by fear or indecision. Instead, we are able to make decisions with confidence, knowing that we are acting from a place of clarity and inner strength. In many situations, the inability to take decisive action is rooted in fear or uncertainty. Fear of making the wrong decision can cause us to hesitate or avoid taking action altogether. However, when we are calm, we are able to trust ourselves and our ability to make the right decision, knowing that we can course correct if needed. Calmness provides us with the confidence to take action and move forward, even in the face of uncertainty. This clarity and decisiveness also extend to our ability to set and achieve goals. When we are calm, we are able to think clearly about what we want and how to achieve it. We are not distracted by fears, doubts. A network error occurred. Please check your connection and try again. If this issue persists, please contact us through our help center at help.openeye.com. When you act as if your calmness is your strength, you embody an energy that influences not just yourself, but the world around you. People respond to the energy you project, whether consciously or unconsciously. If you radiate calmness, confidence, and stability, those around you will feel it. They may not be able to explain why, but they will be drawn to your presence, sensing the steadiness and reliability you offer. Calmness is not passivity, it is a quiet power, a deep-seated assurance that communicates strength without the need for words or force. In moments of conflict or uncertainty, people naturally look to those who remain composed. When emotions are high and reactions are impulsive, the person who remains calm becomes the anchor in the storm. This is why great leaders, whether in history, business, or personal life, are often the ones who maintain their composure even in the most challenging situations. Their calmness does not mean they are indifferent or disengaged. Rather, it signals that they are in control of themselves and their emotions. This level of control is deeply reassuring to those around them, creating a sense of stability that others can rely on. Your calmness also sets the tone for how people interact with you. If you are constantly reactive, those around you will feel the need to walk on eggshells, unsure of how you will respond. But if you remain steady and composed, you create an environment of trust. People will feel safe expressing themselves without fear of an emotional outburst or unnecessary drama. This fosters healthier relationships, both personally and professionally, as people are naturally drawn to those who offer emotional stability. This energy of calmness is not something that can be faked for long. It must come from within. True calmness is a state of being, not just a temporary behavior. It is cultivated through self-awareness, emotional regulation, and a deep understanding that nothing outside of you has power over you unless you allow it. When you fully embrace this mindset, your presence alone can shift the energy in a room. Others will sense your groundedness and will often adjust their own behavior in response. This is the unspoken power of calmness. It influences others without force, simply through the example it sets. Consider a situation where tension is high, perhaps a heated discussion or a stressful environment at work. If you remain calm, your energy can diffuse the intensity of the moment. People will instinctively look to you for guidance, even if you do not say a word. Your calm presence reassures them, signaling that there is no need to panic or act out of fear. This is why the most respected leaders are those who can remain composed under pressure. They do not allow external chaos to dictate their internal state. Instead, they become the source of stability that others seek. This principle applies not only to interactions with people but also to how you navigate challenges in life. When faced with adversity, your reaction determines the outcome more than the situation itself. If you allow stress and fear to consume you, you will struggle to find solutions. But if you maintain your calmness, you will be able to think clearly and act wisely. The way you handle difficulties teaches others how to approach their own challenges. Your ability to stay grounded in tough times serves as a living example of resilience and wisdom. Calmness is contagious. Just as anxiety can spread from person to person, so can tranquility. Have you ever noticed how being around a truly calm person makes you feel at peace? Their presence alone can lower tension and bring a sense of peace. This is because energy is felt on a deep level, beyond words and actions. By embodying calmness, you create an atmosphere where others feel safe to relax, think clearly, and respond thoughtfully rather than react impulsively. This ability to influence others through calmness is especially powerful in leadership, whether in a formal role or simply within your family or social circle. People naturally follow those who exhibit strength, and one of the greatest strengths is the ability to remain unshaken. When you consistently demonstrate that you are not easily disturbed by external circumstances, people begin to trust your judgment. They see you as someone who can be relied upon, someone who does not waver in the face of uncertainty. This builds respect and admiration not because you demand it, but because your presence commands it. Beyond interpersonal influence, calmness also affects the opportunities and circumstances that come into your life. When you maintain a steady and composed energy, you attract situations that reflect that state. Opportunities tend to flow more easily to those who exude confidence and control over their emotions. Employers, clients, and collaborators are drawn to those who seem capable and unfazed by challenges. The person who remains calm in negotiations, business dealings, or high-pressure situations is often the one who succeeds, not because they force an outcome, but because their composed energy allows them to navigate complexities with ease. This principle extends to all areas of life. In relationships, a calm and centered person fosters a stable and loving dynamic. In professional settings, they become the one others turn to for guidance. In personal development, they are able to stay focused on their goals without being derailed by temporary setbacks. This is the power of embodying calmness as strength. It influences every aspect of your life, without the need for force or struggle. People often mistake calmness for weakness, assuming that those who do not react loudly or aggressively are somehow passive or lacking in conviction. But true calmness is one of the greatest strengths a person can possess. It is the ability to face challenges without being consumed by them, to hold one's ground without unnecessary conflict, and to navigate life with a sense of inner certainty. It is not the absence of emotion, but the mastery of it. It is the ability to choose how you respond rather than allowing circumstances to dictate your state of mind. Those who understand this truth do not waste energy proving themselves to others. They do not need to assert dominance through aggression or loudness. Instead, they lead through presence, through an unshakable inner state that naturally commands respect. This is why the most powerful people in history, in business, and in life are often those who speak less, but carry more influence. Their energy does the speaking for them. Their calmness exudes authority, not because they demand it, but because it is simply who they are. When you act as if your calmness is your strength, you create a ripple effect that extends far beyond yourself. You inspire others to cultivate the same sense of composure, to seek stability rather than chaos, and to recognize that true power lies in mastery over oneself. This is not something that can be achieved overnight, but with practice, awareness, and a commitment to inner growth, it becomes second nature. Calmness becomes the foundation upon which you build your life, influencing not only your own experience but also the world around you.